So, and I know it's Veterans Day, so like that's kind of where we had it scheduled. So I don't know if anybody here is a veteran or has a family member who's a veteran, but if you do, we want to say thank you. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you.
I really can't take any credit because I had fun the entire time. I feel like I was in harm's way, but I do appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, now the first thing usually we do when we start these meetings is we just go around and introduce ourselves because we're trying to build a sense of community and here, and so the best way is, even though we're wearing these masks and everything like that, the best way is that we actually get to know each other and who we are and everything like that. So I'll start as always. My name is Steve Van Tassel. I'm the PTA president. I live over in Woodstone, and I have one son. He's in second grade. He's in Spanish immersion with Miss Smith and Senora Sanchez. So we really like it here. We walk up the back steps to school all the time. So thank you. So I'll just go around. Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna Bennett. I have 3 daughters here at Groveton, a 6th grader, 5th grader, and 3rd grader. And we live behind the Lowe's over that direction.
I'm George Newberry. I'm the treasurer. I live on Groveton Street. So you'll probably see me outside doing yard work or chasing my children. I have a 6-year-old in 1st grade and an 8-year-old in 3rd. And my wife also volunteers a lot with the outdoor lunches. So you'll probably see her or see me doing outdoor lunches.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Vargas. I have my 2nd grader in the 2-way immersion program, and I also have the mother of an 8th grader that already graduated from the program, so I'm being a tiger mother for 8 years now. So it's the first time that I'm in the PTA. If anybody needs help with the Spanish, si necesitan ayuda con el español, I am the person. I'm trying to help everyone with the Spanish so we can have more Spanish community involved in the PTA and learning about what we do here. Yo soy la persona, si tienen alguna pregunta, alguna consulta con respecto al trabajo que hace la asociación y cómo podemos ayudar y colaborar e involucrarnos más con los niños en la escuela. Mi nombre es Jasmine, me buscan, soy la vicepresidenta de la asociación este año. Okay.
Thank you, Jasmine. And if you ever see anything that says it's for me, they're in Spanish. Thank you. So, you want to keep going around?
Hello, my name is Cynthia. Well, it's my 5th time here, so I know how the idea.
Thank you for coming.
That's it.
You want to keep going?
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. So it's my 1st time here too. My son is 1st grade.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Gracias por venir. Who else? Somebody new?
Hi, my name is Karina, and my son is in the kindergarten.
I'm Jennifer. My daughter is in kindergarten. Her name is Jackson.
Very good. Thank you for coming, both of you. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Alexander. Two ladies. First time here.
Thank you for coming, Alexander.
My name is Kramer. I have a 6th grader in Spanish immersion with our
Hi everybody, my name is Sadie. I've been involved with the PTA. I have a 3rd grader in Spanish immersion.
Hi everyone, my name is Liz. I have 2 boys at Groveton, one in kindergarten in Spanish immersion and one in 2nd grade.
Hi, my name is Justina, and I have 2 girls, one in kindergarten and the other one in 1st grade.
Hi, I'm Christine Garber. I have a 1st grader and a 6th grader here at Groveton, and then a 7th grader at Sandra.
My name is Wayne Warner. You may know my wife, Erica. She usually comes to the meetings, I believe. Sometimes she couldn't be here tonight. But we have a son and a daughter, kindergarten and 2nd grade. My daughter graduated in 2nd grade. And I look forward to possibly getting involved.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in her stead. We appreciate it.
My name is Phyllis America, and I have a grandson who's in 5th grade. And I've been involved in PTA for a couple of years. And I live down Groveton
Good evening, buenas noches. My name is Fran Casablanca. Yo soy una de las directoras asistentes de aquí de la escuela. I'm one of the assistant principals. Bienvenidas a todos. Welcome.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Dawn Asenar. I'm a procedural support liaison for Groveton Elementary School. And a little bit later on, I'll tell you a little bit about my role in the county and how I can be a resource to families as well as school teams.
Well, thank you all for coming, we really appreciate it. So we kind of have to do kind of some of the fun administrative stuff at the beginning, so first thing we have to do is approve the October meeting minutes, so I'll hand it over to Anna.
Okay, and again this year, we're doing this virtually, so the minutes were posted on the website. If you want to pull them up on your phone, they're at the grovetonpta.org website, and you'll find the October minutes. If anybody has tell me a correction or any addition needed to be made to the minutes.
What is the agenda?
We don't have copies.
Okay, if anybody's looked at them, does anybody have objections or anything they want to add to it? If not, we'll just put it to a vote. Does everybody here in favor say aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed say nay? They are approved, thank you, Anna.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we have, our treasurer's report from George Newberry, our treasurer. And I think he puts them at the table there at the beginning, but if people need them, he hands them out too. We usually go over the monthly budget every month. For those of you who are new, so.
My copy is good. It's a pretty light month. Let's see what the summary is. I'll just go through it. As a donation, we had $10. We had 6 new members. The Fall Festival that total there includes all the money we raised minus the cost of the moon bounce, but it doesn't include any of the other pending expenses from concessions or any of the other little activities we had. But I don't expect it to be much, so I would assume that after all the receipts come in, we'll probably have at least $1,500 profit off of that fundraiser, which is very good and well attended.
Yeah, we'll have an update. We'll have an update later for folks, just so everybody knows. But
and then we had money from 2 restaurant fundraisers. There's El Paso and New York City. They can say $329, and Anna sold 3 shirts for $15 last month's meeting. There were some shirts sold Fall Festival. We do still have some old shirts in the closet. If anybody's interested, we can pull those out after the meeting and see what the options are. Let's see, then coming down to expenses, this little dues processing fees, that's when I pay the PTA dues to the state and the county. Yeah. Insurance payment, that was due this month, so I paid it last night, that's included there. PayPal fees are associated when we do the digital transactions, of course there's a fee involved, so we capture those, that. And the sport fees went with the Fall Festival. So, but those are very minor, of course. And then the capital improvements, that's where we, I remember last month we voted to approve a paper cutter purchase for the teacher lounge. Yep. And so that got pushed into the capital improvements it's kind of a capital improvement, right? It's gonna be there for a while, they're gonna use paper.
I think everybody's probably already seen it when you get those half sheets of paper from the school constantly. That's where it comes in, right?
I use it all the time. Yeah.
So you add all this up, and in the end, the total cash on hand is just under 13 grand, which is a little more than we want to be. Well, it's good for us right now. As we go through the year, we'll probably end up spending a little bit more on other activities. And of course, if you know teachers, please get the teachers to submit teacher grants or request money for different activities they want to do, whether it's learning activities with the kids, if there's something physical they need. You can talk to your kids and have them tell the teachers too, because if the teachers don't come and ask for us for money, then there's kind of no point in us raising money, as much money as we need. Are there any questions?
Okay, well, we just need to take it to a vote, so, everybody to approve the budget for now, everybody who approves, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Budget is approved, thank you, George. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna just give an update on a couple of things I've been working on, or that we've been doing in the past, or gonna do in the future. The first thing is, as you probably, if you saw the budget, there was a big purchase of an electronic sign for the front of the school. Unfortunately, we don't really have much of an update. It's a 12-week process where it's being made, the sign is being made, and then they're bidding out the labor to install it. And so the hope is, I guess, like the beginning of next year, like in January, hopefully we'll be able to have it installed. But there's really no news because they're making it. So hopefully they make it properly and we get it soon. And then the second thing I wanted to mention, outside of this, is that on next Wednesday is the FCPS is doing a day, Ruby Bridges Day, which is an honor. She was an African-American girl who walked to school to integrate schools in New Orleans. And so they kind of do every year, there's like a day for this, and to commemorate that, they're requesting people try to walk to school on next Wednesday. It's not going to be as elaborate as the other walk to school day, but we're going to encourage people to kind of walk their kids to school in remembrance of her and of Ruby and her sacrifices to do that, because I read a little bit about this from Mr. Slaughter, and it's just crazy things that happened back in the 60s. So hopefully we'll do that, so that'll be good. So those are the only things I really have updates on. So just thought George might want to give an update on the outdoor lunch. His wife Tabitha is the one who's been coordinating all that, so she can't be here because she's on kid duty while George is here. In her stead, he can give us a report.
6th graders are crazy, 5th graders are crazy too. So we need more adults out there to volunteer to help keep the kids, Phyllis can attest to it, to help mind the children, okay? It's burning, there's a lot of dedicated volunteers, some of them are in this room. We thank you very much, okay? But we need more volunteers. So the best way to thank Tabitha or anybody else who's volunteering is to get a friend to volunteer, right? Get your kids' friends, parents to volunteer, right? It's an hour-ish commitment in the middle of the day, but it really helps, alleviate some of the stress on the people who are constantly volunteering if we get more parents to volunteer. It's fun because you get to see your kids interacting with all their friends, and you get to just know a little bit more about the school and kind of see what it's like here during the day, because it can get pretty energetic at times. So, are there any questions on outdoor lunch?
I have one quick question. Yeah. I know they do 1-hour shifts. I know what time my son has lunch, but what time? So it's 10:45 to 11:45. Who's in that block? And then, just so people know, in case they don't know what time.
So I think it starts with 2nd grade, yes. And then kindergarten is doing it in their room.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now.
It's probably
It's usually like 2nd grade.
Yeah, 2nd grade's first, I know that. But.
So the best time would be to ask your child when their lunch is. Keep in mind there's A days, and it's set up as A days and B days now. So, yeah.
So 10:45, I would say is 2nd grade, 11:30 is 1st grade, 12 o'clock is 4th grade, 12:15 is 6th grade, 12:30 is 3rd grade, and then 12:50, 1 o'clock is 5th grade. And it's a little, it's also A-B. So they're on A days, like half the teachers go, and then on B day the other half go. So you do have to ask your kids if they had lunch outside that day or not. But yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, George, and tell Tabitha we said thank you. We appreciate all of her efforts, and everybody, if you volunteered here, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
You were talking about the timing. If that 1 hour doesn't align for you for like 11:45 to 12:45 or whatever, just email Tabitha and say, I can come from this time to this time. All right, that Sign Up Genius is just to kind of help organize this, but if we need help, we need help. So just come when you can.
Yeah. Don't be constricted by whatever it says. If you can help, come on and help. I'm sure she'll find a spot for you. Thank you. Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about is, as everybody hopefully knows, we're going to get a school crossing guard at the corner of Groveton Street and Harrison Lane, and so Phyllis, Shannon, and myself were on a call with Supervisor Rodney Lusk, not this past Friday, but the previous Friday, and he gave us an update on their progress. They had a meeting, and it was agreed to that they're going to fund a school crossing guard for for us. And so the funding should hopefully be at the start of the calendar year, so in January. And the good thing about it being funding, like, people might be, okay, funding, whatever, but the good thing about it being funded, from what they told me, and which is good news, is that when it's funded, if say the school crossing guard gets sick and he or she can't come in to work that day, they will send a replacement because it's funded. So there might be a police officer there one day. If I was a crossing guard and I got sick and couldn't come in, they'd send a police officer. So that's the good part about having it funded, is that we always will have one. It's not going to be hit or miss. That crossing guard can't be pulled to go somewhere else or do something else. They're our crossing guard. So hopefully we're going to just keep up the drumbeat on that. Hopefully we'll have them there. Hopefully when school starts in January. So, but it's still a process, and so we want to encourage them, and hopefully we'll do a big thing where we welcome the crossing guard to the Groveton community, and do pictures or something like that, and have everybody cross. And so if anybody lives on that, crosses over there and everything like that, hopefully that'll make your lives a little bit easier getting to and from school in the very near future. So thank you. And Zadie, thank you very much. Zadie was part of it as well. She had your son, correct?
Yes.
He submitted a video which we showed to Supervisor Lusk among some other things. So when Phyllis has been there, she was counting, and Shannon Payne, who's not here, did a ton of work on that. I was hoping she'd be here to give this update, but she had to work tonight. So thank you to her for that. And thank you to everybody who did anything, signed a petition in the past, or walks their kids and did something. We appreciate your help. So we'll keep everybody updated on that, but hopefully early January we'll have the crossing guard for good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the teacher staffing, because I spoke to Mr. Swagger a couple of days ago, and he said, and Ms. Casablanca can correct me if I get anything wrong, that there is still an immediate opening for an instructional assistant, and there is an opening for a third grade teacher. So I'm sure unlikely that anybody here wants to apply for those things, but if you know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody, we're trying to get the word out. And we need substitutes as well. I was here on Tuesday morning, and Ms. Casablanca was the column teacher, and then she handed it off to Mr. Swagger, who was the column teacher for the next students, because there was no substitute column teacher that day. Same thing. I'm sure maybe we all can't be the substitute teachers or apply for that, but maybe you know somebody who might want to be a substitute teacher, or you post it on Facebook or something, or just the more the word gets out, maybe we can get these positions filled, because I'm sure it's a burden on the staff and the other teachers to have to cover all these things for everybody. So if we can do anything on our part to help alleviate that would be great for the teachers and the kids and everybody. So thank you. On to fun things, as everybody hopefully everybody was able to go to Fall Festival, which was a lot of fun. A lot of people, a lot of fun. Anna organized that, did a great job. Do you want to thank you, Anna. Do you don't mind giving us a little update? We had a costume contest. I'll let Anna do the update because she did all the work, so she gets the credit.
So I like announced at the beginning, I was just organizing volunteers, so Liz did a great job organizing the bounce house for us, and Phyllis was doing all the beverage concessions, and I don't see the other ones tonight. George was doing all the popcorn, so if you ate anything there, that was all him. And I just said, okay, we need help here and here and here, go help, and that was it.
Well, you did a lot more there.
You did a lot more, yeah.
Right, so Diane Riemann from Kid Create, she came and did her own little studio session and did some pottery with the kids. That was great. And Kathleen Turk did the whole pumpkin patch, organized all that, got all the supplies ready and set it all up for us. So we had a lot of great teachers and parents come out and really step up and help with all the different activities. So everybody had a blast, even the trunk or treaters. We only had 2 cars for the trunk or treat, but hey, everybody got in the line and everybody got candy, so everybody's happy, right? So it was a great event. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I think I saw a lot of kids seemed to have a lot of fun there, so that was great. And that's the nice thing about this, is we can, now that we can kind of do things, at least still outside, but we were able to do something with the community everything, and that's kind of what we're here for. Hopefully we can, you know, once kids get vaccinated and more people vaccinated, and we can relax restrictions, and we can do more of these things and have more fun and not just attend dry PTA meetings. So the next thing on the agenda here is just some upcoming PTA events. We don't have too many. We've got the toppers. We usually do a toppers fundraiser every month or every other month. So the next one is on December 9. Today was Yogurt City because of early release day, so hopefully some folks got to go to Yogurt City. And then we're going to do a school cleanup, just outdoor areas, hopefully on December 11th, which is Saturday, and George is going to is going to do that. We'll probably be setting up a sign-up genius to volunteer, but we did this in the spring, and you know, it was just, you know, we're just picking up trash and cleaning up things, just trying to make the school look, you know, the outsides look nicer. I mean, the custodians, they have a big job, and you know, in the county, I'm sure they don't get out here much to pick up things. So if we can pitch in and try to do that, I think it'll be nice for the school. So, anything you want to say about that, George?
Sure. Yeah, the December cleanup, we just, you know, it's an excuse to get together, a little camaraderie, clean up the school, not too long, maybe an hour to two, starting in the afternoon, probably 1 o'clock. And if it's going to rain, then we'll just push it back a week to the 18th. So.
Okay.
We'll send out more flyers and we'll cut them in half.
So, okay, well, now we're going to have Miss Casablanca and I'm sorry, Miss
Dawn Asner. Call me Dawn.
and Dawn. They're going to do a presentation on special education. So that's sort of our feature, and I'll get out of here so they can have the floor. Thank you very much for being here.
No problem. Okay, so before we get into that, there were a couple of things that Mr. Slaughter wanted me to share with you tonight. Does anybody here need help with Spanish? We're good? Todo bien?
I'm already asking.
If you don't understand something, let me know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so as Mr. Santasso mentioned, we'll be honoring Ruby Bridges on November 17th by doing a walk to school day. As you know, she was brave enough to walk in school and really kind of made a statement about the end of segregation in schools. So it's really a joy for us to really be able to honor her. So we'll be out there and, you know, come and join us, walk to school that day. Thanksgiving break, I know everybody's waiting for it, at least we are. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so Wednesday's also off. In previous years, we've had it sometimes off, sometimes a 12 weeks, it's off. So just keep that in mind. AAP referrals are due to the AAP coaches by December 15th. And then the Holly Jolly Sing-Along and Bend and Strings, you'll get a little bit more information about that in the coming weeks, but they're gonna be virtual this year. All right, a big thing that Mr. Sarker wanted me to talk about real quick, I'm gonna be brief. We did actually get a briefing today from the leadership in Fairfax County. They have had meetings with the contracted company about this COVID testing that is scheduled to start here at Groveton in particular on Tuesday, November 16th. There seems to be an issue with the sharing of information right now. They haven't yet released that communication from this company that is going to be doing the testing. They have not released yet the statements. They're all ready to go, but they're waiting on a lot of approvals and clearances from a bunch of people. So once they send communication out, the county will send communication out to parents, then we'll be able to send additional information when they give it to us. In this case in particular, parents have to opt their children into this COVID-19 testing. So they're not gonna test anybody who does not opt in. There have been some concerns about the quick turnaround of this. They're saying that they're starting it next week. At other schools, it starts Monday, but they still haven't communicated this. So the leadership, the principal advocacy group has expressed concerns about the quick turnaround for this and the lack of information. For now, we know that the location that we will be using for the students that opt in for testing will be the CARES room, which is the room where we also send students if they have, if they're showing COVID-19 symptoms or any kind of symptoms, to be quite honest. And just so you know, that room is always cleaned and disinfected after anybody is in that room, so. Do you have any questions about that? Yes,
Will the opt-in be a physical form or?
it's going to supposedly, it's going to be an online form. We don't know, we haven't received it yet. I don't know, but as soon as we know, they'll send communication first, and then they'll give us the language that they want the schools to send to the parents, and we will do that as soon as we get it, but we don't have it yet, so. All right, any other questions about COVID-19 testing? Yes,
Okay, the current start date is at Tuesday, November 16.
Yeah.
That's gonna be when we're gonna start doing testing for the kids?
so, COVID-19 testing is going to be like, I don't know if it's weekly or it's similar to another county, in, I believe it's Montgomery County. There are, districts that are having testing. Let's just say that your child is showing symptoms, or, you know, instead of being quarantined, they do a COVID test just to kind of see if they test positive for COVID or not.
And it will be only for kids that show any kind of symptoms?
It would be only for kids that opt in to be tested. It's not, it could be random. But in
So
the
if-
case that they show signs and they have opted in, it's an alternative to having to quarantine for X amount of days.
What about for the kids that's gonna be vaccinated soon?
That we don't have the guidance yet. That's not clear.
Okay.
We don't know.
So is the point of this to kind of get a random sample of kids
Yeah.
to see how much COVID's in the school system?
I don't know, but I'm gonna say that it's a little tricky. We are not completely, I mean, full disclosure, we're not completely clear ourselves because we're still lacking communication, which is why there has been a huge advocacy group concerned about the quick turnaround of this. And again, unlike an opt-out, so the norm is that nobody will be tested unless you opt in, right? The goal is that, let's just say that you've opted in, and so you'll be tested, right? Just to kind of keep track of how the percentage of people infected or this and that is going around schools. But let's just say that you've opted in and you're showing symptoms, you could get a test, and unless, you know, right now, if there's a 10-day quarantine period, then you wouldn't probably have to do a 10-day quarantine period, that kind of thing, so.
If the test is negative.
If the test is negative.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you opt in, so you would be opting in for being part of the random polling
Yep.
of a certain number of kids
Yep,
to make up a certain percentage of the school's population, right?
Yep.
And then if you do that as well, then you also will get the ability to test out of going into quarantine if you have symptoms.
could be potentially.
If you get sent home,
That
if
is
you were
the-
about to be
That is
sent
the
home.
understanding
Okay.
I currently have.
Okay,
Do not quote me on it
okay, well,
yet, but that is where we're heading.
okay,
Now, the problem is that we are lacking information.
yeah,
And I could be telling you this today, and in true fashion, things could be changing tomorrow.
yeah.
But that is kind of where we're heading towards, because the ultimate goal of the school board is really to reduce the amount of time that kids are out of the classroom. Yes,
Will teachers be tested too?
I have not heard that.
We have, the employees have something a little different.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, because if you're not fully vaccinated,
Yes.
you could be tested. I
Yeah.
think you have to be tested
Yes.
once or show your vaccination.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, so Fairfax requires all teachers to be vaccinated. And I think in Fairfax, there's a very, very small percentage of teachers that are not for, I believe, it may be religious reasons, whatever it is. And those that are not, I think they have to do testing every week or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know much about that because. So yeah, it is a little different, you're right.
Is the COVID-19 weekly for the kids or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would like to say yes, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I heard it was weekly, but then I also heard it might be every 2 weeks. I'm not really sure yet. We are waiting on specific information. These are the current updates as of today at 1 o'clock. We still have, I think my biggest concern is they have not sent communication out to parents yet. And we're supposedly testing on Tuesday. Well, not we, the contracted company, we're not touching the kids. We're not doing that. That is not gonna be done by Groveton staff. That's the other thing you can say, so. All right? Okay.
Thank you for that
Move on.
update, Ms. Casablanca.
Sorry, as Mr. Ventassel said, we really need substitute teachers. We really, really do. So in Fairfax County, right now, and I know you've seen it on the news, and they said 70%. I'm gonna go ahead and say that we have, in Fairfax County, about a 60% success rate right now with substitute teachers. In Groveton, at Groveton, it is way much lower than that. For every 5 teachers that may be out on a given day, we get one sub. And the cafeteria
Just trying to have a good
that we
view.
have indoors and outdoors have to go and cover classes. So that's kind of what's happening right now, right? So we are finding ourselves trying to, I mean, all of us, the admin team has gone and covered classes, IAs go and cover classes. We've asked anybody who will be willing to cover a class. So if you know of anybody who's interested in substituting, they only have to substitute at Groveton, we can make it all work. There, I did put the link there for FCPS of where you can go and apply. If you know someone who would be interested, that's something also they need to do. I think they need to be vaccinated and have a TB test. I think that's kind of, and they do a background check, obviously.
And it's a really nice job. So I used to be a substitute teacher a long time ago when I was deciding whether to be a teacher. And the nice thing is you have off when the kids are off, you're on the same schedule, so it's great.
Yep. So please consider. All right. So our topic for tonight, and I want to thank, I really want to thank Dawn Azanar. She is our procedural support liaison, not just at Groveton, but in schools in Region 3. And you'll learn a little bit more about her, and she graciously volunteered to do this presentation with me because she is the person with the knowledge in the room. I have been fortunate to support the special education team for the last 2.5 years, and I'm really excited. I've learned a lot with them, and it's a very interesting and rich process. And our hope tonight is to give you a little bit of an overview of what it is, what are the resources that are available for families, and maybe some additional information for you to consider, okay? So if you haven't met them already, and I'm sorry that you can't really see the picture really well.
Yeah, sorry, can we dark a little this area or no? Because it's not gonna look here.
So we tried turning off the lights, but it was really dark. We can try it again. I'm happy to do that.
Can we try? Let's see.
Yeah, go back there. Hold on, it's on. They're doing it, they're gonna do it. Okay. No problem. Boom. All right. So this is our, I will say, amazing special education team. They have gone above and beyond, especially this year. It is an incredible year, as you know, as you've experienced. Those of you who are fortunate, I would say, to volunteer here from day to day, you know that there's a lot of need, especially after a year like the one that they've had for the past 1.5 years has been very difficult on many of our kids. And there are a lot of kids that need a lot of support. So this team has been extraordinary, has gone above and beyond in their work. So I'm just gonna briefly kind of talk to you about who they are. Our special education chair is Ms. Diana Intagliata, who I believe is also part of the PTA, has attended PTA before. Ms. Scriven, Rolanda Scriven, Lauren Boland, Beth Hahn, Delilah Edwards, who comes to us from Stratford Lending this year, brand new. And then Elizabeth Obeng and Christian Santiago, who are part of our Enhanced Autism program, who are our Enhanced Autism teachers. And then we are lucky that we have, and I say lucky, 4 instructional assistants because it's been very difficult to get instructional assistants specifically for special education. Ms. Brenda Chavez, Martha Homefeld, Ms. Mata, and Michaela Thorne. 3 of those instructional assistants are also Spanish speakers, which is very helpful because we do have students that receive special education services that are in immersion, and this allows us also the opportunity to support students in Spanish in the immersion program. So it's really exciting. Okay, but before we get to special ed, I want to talk a little bit about what we do here at Groveton, something called the Mtss process, or the multi-tiered systems of support. And I will say that this is kind of like the I don't want to say cornerstone. It's not cornerstone. It's the foundation, right? Of the data gathering and the information that we look at, where we are considering student strengths and also students' areas of need. Because the goal is to really try to make sure that, especially in a year like this, all kids are getting the supports that they need and the instruction that they need and the intervention that they need if they need it in order to be able to catch up, okay? And it all starts with the MTSS process. Well, I just said it, it's supposed to, the goal of the MTSS is to really support the students so that they're healthy, they're well-adjusted, and they're academically successful. This is kind of how it goes. You think about your daily classroom instruction, and then you're noticing that students, may need additional support in a specific area, so the classroom teacher differentiates her instruction, or may reach out to other specialists, such as an ESOL teacher, a literacy coach, and ask for additional strategies to differentiate and target that instruction. If things are working, great. If things are not working, they can also have additional kid talks, which is a team conversation where they explore strategies that haven't been tried before to support the student. If after implementing these strategies and intervention it doesn't seem to be as effective, then they bring it up to the MTSS core team, and the core team is comprised of coaches, data coaches, literacy coaches, math coaches, the admin team, and a behavior specialist who really digs deeper into, do we continue with interventions? Do we try new interventions? Or do we consider sending a student to local screening, right? And this is where we start then our special education kind of route. It doesn't always end in special education. The goal of MTSS is not to take kids through the special education process, but it's really to catch the kids before they get too far behind and try to give them the supports and interventions that they need before they are referred, okay? If you have any questions, let me know. All right.
So, thank you so much for that introduction, Freya. As I shared earlier, I'm Dawn Azenar. I am a procedural support liaison, and what that means is I'm a resource not only to families, but also to school teams on navigating this mysterious world of special education. You guys have some really strong special ed teachers, and they're also going to have the same information to help guide you and coach you along. Just to give you a little background, before I became what's referred to as a PSL, I worked out of the Office of Special Ed Instruction, and then I was also a special ed teacher. My favorite was always at the elementary school level, so my love is here. Special education is based on federal law, and we have that up there where it talks about how a student with a disability, I should say child, from age 0 birth all the way up to 21 is entitled to this special education. Then what happens is the Virginia Department of Education further clarifies that. And what they talk about is specially designed instruction at no cost to the parent. How many of you have ever heard the term free and appropriate public education? I'm seeing some nods, so that's kind of where this is falling in. And it's really to kind of look at the unique needs of that child. And so later on, we'll talk about the 14 areas of disability in Virginia. And over in the corner, I referenced the Special Education Handbook, and you will have a link to this. I can't tell you how amazing this handbook is. There is so much information in special ed that it just kind of can seem overwhelming. But the beautiful thing about here is at each part, there's ideas for parents as they go through this process, because it can feel very scary. I always say, as a mother taking my 2-year-old son through this process, even though I've done this for years, it's different when you're on the parent side. You want to click to the next one? So how does the special education process start? It always starts with a referral. And when we think about a referral, that can be made by anybody. Fran was nice enough to share a little bit about how sometimes that multi-tier systems of support can make the referral, but also a parent can make the referral, a neighbor, which is somebody who has a concern that their child might qualify as a student with a disability. How do you make that referral? Just give a call to the school. Talk to somebody there. Will you talk to the child's teacher and say, you know, I'm really concerned. I'm suspecting that maybe my child might have this disability. And they will help you through what's called the multi-purpose referral form. And so sometimes parents feel very intimidated by this form, and they think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can fill this out. It's okay. That's what we're here for as special ed teachers, because you could just have that conversation and we can help fill that out. But what that's going to do is start a timeline period of coming to a local screening committee. And so the local screening committee is a meeting among a you can tell it's late in the day, a multidisciplinary team. So oftentimes that will include the school psychologist at Groveton. It will include an administrator. Fran, you probably sat on many of them.
Yeah.
It will include your child's teacher, the general ed teacher. It would also include the special ed teacher. Sometimes it's the lead teacher, sometimes it's the special ed teacher for that grade level. It will also include an ESOL teacher if your student is
A second language
learner. Thank you. And what they do is they sit around and they talk about it. Oh, I also forgot about my poor social worker. We also include those people too. And we talk about the student, we hear what the concerns are, and we look at what has been put in place. And sometimes we have where it is so evident that we really are looking at a potential disability, a child with a disability, that we want to go forward and talk about evaluations. Of course, nothing can be done without your permission. Sometimes maybe we skipped over some of the parts with the multi-tier system of support, and maybe there's like a tier 2, which you think about like tier 1 is what everybody's getting, tier 2 is that more specialized, and tier 3 is where we're really starting to look at that more intensive supports. And the team might say, you know what, we have this reading program, we want to go and try this for 6 weeks and see what results we get, and then come back together as a local screening team to see if that made a difference. Sometimes it makes a difference. Sometimes it's like, you know what, we're still suspecting there's something there.
If I may add also, as she was mentioning the MTSS process, when a teacher notices a student is struggling, she is going to have these conversations, but she's also going to have a conversation with the family.
Yeah.
So you will know from the teacher, hey, our student's strengths, here are the things he's doing great, or he or she is doing great, and here are the things that we're still working on. So none of this should be a surprise to the parent if the MTSS team decides to refer someone to local screening. This should not be a surprise to the parent. And like Ms. Azener was saying, when the local screening committee meets, it's a multidisciplinary team. That involves the parents, and the parents are just as, have the same strengths or input that any other person in the meeting has. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much for sharing that, because it is, I always talked about how when I had to do this with my son, even though I've been doing this for years, I think I cried walking down to that meeting. And so whenever I would take families through the local screening process, I kind of want to gently kind of coach them and remind them it's okay. It's a large group of people, but we all are here to listen and to support your child, because that's who we're here for. I always say, if the team does not propose evaluations, then they're going to walk away with a plan, because that's on that document. That's the other beautiful thing about this process is, yes, it creates a paper trail, but what it does is it really creates a commitment. This is what we're noticing, and this is what we're going to do to support your child as we move forward. Now, we still haven't been found eligible yet. We're just starting that process. And again, parents are involved in this all the way through. And so let's say we decide that we are going to do some evaluations. Again, what we would do is at that local screening meeting, we would say, maybe we're going to propose a psychological, and we'll tell you why. We want to look for these things. Maybe we want to see if there is a processing disorder, or maybe we want to do some grading scales or something like that. And the school psychologist will make sure that you understand before you say yes or no to that evaluation, what it is that we are looking for. Next, the social worker might say, we want to do a social cultural. And what that is it's really your voice. You're going to talk about what life was like for your child as they were growing up. Did they hit their developmental milestones? What are you noticing at home? There's oftentimes an educational assessment that's done by usually one of the special ed teachers here, and who are trained and certified through the county to look at a student's reading, writing, and math skills, and look at normative weaknesses. So how are they comparing to their same age peers? Are they making more errors than some of their peers in, say, a reading comprehension on inferencing or something like that? And then depending on the needs of the child, you might look at a speech and language evaluation. And of course, if there was going to be there, there'd be a speech and language pathologist. But again, when you make a referral, the person who will be helping you through this will be Diana, and she'll kind of hear what it is that you're concerned about, and then she'll make sure that the right people are sitting at those meetings. Now, if you gave permission for those evaluations, then we conduct it. And we usually have 65 business days for when the referral was made. So you can think about this is kind of a lengthy process. But what it's doing is it's allowing us to gather a lot more data. Then before you go to the next meeting, I have this picture right here because I like it because the two people are talking. You're going to sit down with the school psychologist, and after all those assessments are done, they're going to review them with you and make sure you understand what it means. Because the next part is we're going to talk about an eligibility meeting. And you have to be as knowledgeable as everybody else who's sitting at that table as to what that testing showed. And so at the eligibility meeting, what we have to do is come to consensus. And what that is we're going to take a look at the data, we'll review it, we'll ask you if you have any questions, and then we'll say, we're suspecting maybe we meet the criteria for one of the 14 areas of Virginia. That one's slide's coming up. And we'll go through the paperwork for that. And before that meeting, the school psychologist often gives you that legal definition and what that document is going to look like, because you need to be aware of it. Sometimes they'll find that the student doesn't really require what we call special education, but might require more of a 504 plan. And again, before, sorry. So again, these are the 14 areas that are recognized in Virginia. And down there I have where they put the legal definition of what it means to have, like, for example, autism versus a specific learning disability. And there's a lot of good information, but it can feel very overwhelming, which is why that interpretive is so important. Let's say you go ahead, your child qualifies for one of those areas. Then what happens is they still don't have that IEP yet. Because you have to, as a parent, say, do I agree with that, or do I not want it? And so again, we're going to need your written permission to place them into special education. And then once they are found eligible, then they have 30 calendar days to write an IEP. And what that is, it's really that written plan to address that student's needs. So you look at goals, you look at accommodations, you look at what kind of testing accommodations they might take when they take the state assessments. We talk about the services, whether the services will be myself as a special ed teacher coming into the general ed classroom to provide that more specialized support, Or are you going to come out to my little special ed room and maybe do a reading intervention program there? And you're part of that conversation. And an IEP is written once a year. So when we think about those goals, it's not really the instructional plan for the whole year, but it's really, here's our weaknesses. This is what my third grader should know, but this is where Adam, who's my son, this is where he is. So I need to kind of help him get up, and I do that through the goals. And they have a lot of good information. And I also did reference a little bit about 504 plan. Sometimes there's students who have a disability or a medical condition that impacts a major life activity. They don't really need specialized instruction. What they just need is some accommodations or modifications. Maybe I just need a little extra time to complete a timed assessment because I just need that to, because I'm fidgety or something like that. So sometimes you'll see students who go down that path instead. And I know this is like a really quick overview. I'm not sure if there's any more after this. Yes, resources. If the PTA was interested, we could actually have another conversation where we can kind of dive in, talk a little bit about special education and what this means. But what I wanted to do tonight is give you an overview and let you know that there are people in the county like myself, like the special ed teachers that can help you navigate this. And then we have the resource here. The top one will link you to this handbook. This is such a beautiful thing. In fact, parents actually helped to write this.
So, 3 parents are part of the committee.
Yeah. And among other people. We also have the Parent Resource Center. And if you go to our Parent Resource Center, there is actually an hour-and-a-half presentation about this whole special ed process that I kind of just shortened into 20 minutes. We also have an ombudsman. And then we have myself right here, our procedural support liaison. Fran, how often am I at your school?
Every day.
Yeah.
And to just quickly go back to the ombudsman. So 2 things. Some of you who may have attended the Groveton Resource Fair, Mr. Armando Perry was actually in attendance at our resource fair over the summer. Because there have been a lot of questions around special education, there is also within the office of the ombudsman an office for the special education ombudsman, and their goal is to really hear the parent concerns in a very anonymous, non-confrontational, non-threatening way, so they can express it, and then that person will definitely direct you to the supports that are needed, or get you the answers that you need, or collaborate with the school to make sure that you're getting the information you're seeking.
Oftentimes they'll send you to me and we have a conversation.
That's right.
Because we work in collaboration. And then I also have a partner in due process and eligibility. Unlike me, who are assigned to 9 schools, she actually has a whole region. And she says, if you guys want us to come out, we can dive a little deeper on any of this information. But again, our role here is to kind of empower you, give you the knowledge, so that you can walk away understanding what it is that you do to support your child.
All right, so I know it was a pretty quick presentation and overview. What questions might you have, or have we created for you in regards to special education?
A lot, thank you.
Okay, Phyllis.
Oh my gosh.
Bring it.
I do that all the time.
I just can't think of one right now, because Mason's going through it.
Yes.
And he's going through a tough time.
So I
know Mrs. Hahn was gonna talk to the school psychologist and
Yeah.
probably talk to you or somebody in the resource.
Yes.
Because he's getting worse and.
Well, we can talk about Mason later, but I saw some great strengths at COM, so I'll tell you more about it later.
And I will tell you, at all the special ed process meetings, local screening, IEPs, we always start with the student's strengths.
Yeah.
Because every student has those strengths. That's what I want to hear about, because I'm going to play on those strengths, and I'm going to think of ways how to kind of use those strengths to help bring up those weaknesses.
And Phyllis, I will say, if you want to talk to someone, Ms. Azanar is absolutely available. She will make the time to set up an appointment to talk to you and answer any questions that you may have. She works very closely with Ms. Hahn as well,
Yeah.
as Ms. Intagliata and everybody you've known here. So they're on a speed dial all the time.
That's what Ms. Hahn
She
said.
spends a lot of time here at Groveton with us.
Thank you.
Because
Love you
again,
guys.
given the needs that have been created by this pandemic, we know that one of our top priorities is to support our students that have the hardest time, right, and that need the most supports. So that's what she's here to do, and I'm grateful to say that she's here to support us anytime we need her, so.
And I'm glad, also talking about our students who may have a language spoken at home, other than English, ESOL students, we do have students who qualify for special education. My son's a perfect example. He's what's referred to as a dually identified student. So he is in the ESOL program as well as the special education program. And we work together, and even if English is not the native language, don't worry, I have plenty of friends who are interpreters who help me, and Fran and I, we've got this on a road show.
That's right. All right, so do you guys have any other questions? As I said, and for those of you who cannot attend today, all the resources are linked, but also, we are just a phone call away. And like I said, we will set up a time to meet and answer any special education questions that anybody may have. All right, so that's it for us.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, just so folks who, if anybody watches this recording, we'll try to put all that information together and get it out to people as part of the video and the presentation for Ms. Casablanca. We'll try to put that online, and we can send it out. I have a copy of it if anybody needs it. Does anybody have any other questions besides about the special education presentation for the PTA, or anything that they'd like to bring to our attention or ask us to talk about? You can turn the lights on, Ms. Casablanca.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're always here. If you think of something later on, you can always email me or post something on Facebook. Or just come up to any one of us privately and ask a question. That's fine too. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so
Ms.
much.
Casablanca. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Thank you.
You ever want to dive into any other,
Well, you know, I get something, I think it's monthly from like the SEPTA.
Yes, yes.
And